and welcome to Spektral Evidence. As Harry could probably tell you, one thing I love is Halloween.
Absolutely.
And while my family and I were walking around the Milford Pumpkin Fest, I came across something that blended two of my favorite things together, which would be Halloween and cake.
Yes.
And so I had to, I had to have them come on. So I just want to welcome from Michelle's Cake Design, Michelle,
Thank you.
John, and Jen. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
My first question to you is back in 2008 when you started. Did you have any art background or anything?
No.
What got you started designing the cakes and,
What got me started was wanting to spend time with my children. So I just started watching the Ace of Cakes, all the cake shows on TV, and went, oh my God, I can do that. Rallied, I have 3 children, rallied my kids, their significant others, and we started playing. Next thing you know, people are calling and family, friends asking, oh my God, make me a cake, make me a cake. And word of mouth just started traveling. So with that being said, I went, maybe I should open up a business. And from there, we just continued to teach ourselves through trial and error.
And while none of us had formal art training, Michelle was doing folk art stuff and knitting and all kinds of things. Jennifer has always been into art stuff, and I'd been art stuff when I was young, but I really haven't had a creative outlet until she started this business up. And now it's really helped us spend some time together when we're all so busy doing cakes and doing stuff we love.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the first cake you made that you actually stepped back and made you say, wow, I could really do this?
Thomas?
Yeah, probably Thomas. It's on
tank
my
engine.
business card. It is Thomas the Tank Engine. I had a friend call me and ask to make their son's birthday cake. And we just started carving roads and putting it together and went, really like that. And as I said, it was just so natural. It wasn't really business plan at that point. I didn't know what direction we were going. It was just a lot of fun. And next thing you know, it was order after order, and just got licensed, got business, got Health and Human Services. We did so much.
You're licensed as a homestead bakery. So we get somebody that comes by the house, makes sure everything's tidy, temperatures are right, tools are sanitary, all that stuff.
And that's right in Merrimack.
Yep.
Yes.
So, nice segue.
I could do another segue.
No, I was expecting him to ask a question. He had that look in his eye. How many cakes do you make a week?
I do 4. I have done as many as 7, but debating on the level of detail, because like for instance the Harley cake, that can take a couple days. I mean, the cakes are always baked fresh, basically from my oven to your event, but there are things that need prep work, such as drying times and things. So it really does depend on the amount of detail, what's required of each individual cake. We like to design our own, so how we started is, you give me an idea, like you wanted a clown. How far did you want to go with a clown? We draw up a sketch. That's where my husband comes in. We draw the sketch. I say it's a sketch, but it's primarily a draft. You and I, my client, work together and design it to exactly what you want, or as close as it could possibly be. And then it's meeting of the minds. We kind of get together and go, how are we going to support this? Is it full cake? Is it Rice Krispie treats? To which way the client would like it.
And then we agreed to only do 4 cakes a week, and then Michelle takes 2 more orders.
Yeah, usually.
And now we're doing 6
And then
cakes
we
or
usually
7
get
cakes.
yelled at.
And then we got to call people in, like her boyfriend John. In other words, he does all our buttercream. We call in our other sons. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Yeah.
And then we stay up all night.
Yeah, we've had nights
We pull
where
24-hour shifts, and we stay up all night. So 4 o'clock in the morning, we're all sitting there making stuff.
True family business.
It is. It is very much
Yeah.
a true family business. We did a wedding cake, for instance, just as an example. It was for 400 people, but it was very themed. It was being held on a farm, and they needed the bride, carrying balloons flying into the sky with the groom grabbing her leg, dragging her back down. We had animals.
Whole
and
replica of the
it was-
farmhouse,
yes, whole
buses,
replica of the place.
cars.
That was one of the nights where he said, go to bed for a half hour, because as I said, everything is fresh. I don't freeze any of my cakes. All the buttercream is made at the time of the order. And finally, I think I ended up falling asleep for about a half hour. My daughter fell asleep for a half hour, and we just kind of like did shifts so we could get the cake done. But that was, for instance, a 1 cake weekend. But that 7 cake weekend, I think they both,
It was rough.
I think everyone just had enough of me for that weekend.
was
So
rough.
it was time for a vacation.
Okay, well, here's where I want to start. The foundation of the cake itself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your own recipe?
Yes, we do our own recipes. Everything is made fresh.
Mm-hmm.
All the fillings, though, I must say, I do order all my fillings. I have made certain requests, pineapple and peaches and things like that with fresh fruit. But unfortunately, during the winter months, it's kind of challenging to find as much fresh fruit as you could. So I do order from a company, Henry and Henry's is the company I use.
So you would bake your cakes,
Mm-hmm.
and do you bake square, regular rectangular cakes and stack them? Or?
Michelle has
depends.
Michelle has every cake pan you can imagine. The only cake pans she doesn't have are the ones that are for shapes.
Right.
So they're all rounds or squares or ovals.
Yep.
Or
So-
pillows.
Yeah.
Or hearts.
So it really
Standard.
does depend. The design of the cake depends on what we're doing. Even though these both are rounds, it would really honestly just depend. Like the Tasmanian Devil was a small cake, little bit bigger, with the supports, stacking it up, crumb coating it, and then covering it with the fondant. We do primarily fondant work.
Now, when you say it has supports, is that just round, like maybe cardboard or something that would go between each layer, or
Yes.
do you actually have to?
We have to use supports such as dowels. I use the term straws, but they are similar to straws, but a little more sturdy or less than PVC, but that same idea. And again, that depends on what it is that we're making. For instance, that Tasmanian Devil cake, I actually had to use copper tubing so I could bend it to hold the arms up.
And PVC pipe as the base, and the cake was the whole top of the body.
Right.
And so that took a lot of hardware, a lot of supports, a lot of engineering to figure out. That took a long time for us to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, that was, at the time, that was one of the most challenging cakes that we had to do. But from each cake, we learn another technique or where we need to modify, because you are defying gravity.
Do you have a
The,
picture of the Tasmanian Devil cake?
Yeah, I think she does have one.
Oh, okay. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
So, in something like that, how did you get it in the house?
That was, oh,
In 2 parts.
So when you comes in,
right here was, you can see the PVC. This was in
Right.
our house just before we were going to deliver it. So that top cake, this was all cake, and this here I don't think was cake.
That was Rice Krispie
But this
treats,
was cake
and
down
that was
here.
cake.
So basically what we had to do is we had to take the head off and this off and do that all separately. When we got to the party, we had to put it together, and then we finished this tornado going right up to the neck so you wouldn't be able to see that. And so, for instance, this had to be PVC bolted to a board, and we had to lay the cake over it and do the fondant over the cake. And then this was all wrapped up. And then, of course, this had to have all kinds of support. So the cake, what happens is you put too much cake on, it ends up crushing and sliding. So you really have to make sure it's
So
all
you have to
supported.
make sure all the supports are there, because by using that cardboard, there are points where we use a masonite board, which can get cut to the size of what we need. So it's because cardboard would take the moisture.
so when you drop off the cake, do you usually leave instructions how to cut it up, or they just,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I have
'cause
everybody
that
ask
looks
me.
quite challenging to
Yeah, everybody asks me how am I going to cut into it. The one thing that I do say, everything is edible. So even for the kids at the party that may be at the party, loving the Rice Krispie treats, I do homemade modeling chocolate, homemade Rice Krispie treats. So pretty much just everything is made fresh.
And there's some people that are doing weddings or other functions where Michelle will give them a cake chart, a cutting chart.
Yeah,
So if you want to know how to get 30 servings out of that cake, this is how you cut it. And so people use that as their guide.
What about like other cakes? I mean, you don't just do themed. Is it all themed or just?
No, I do traditional cakes,
Okay.
traditional wedding cakes. I don't think you had one of those, but there's been quite a few that I just do the standard cakes.
Okay.
But I would say 98% of my cakes are fondant covered cakes.
The biggest, I think the most requested cakes are like baby shower cakes. So you might get some traditional ones, they'll want a blanket, they'll want some building blocks, all edible. Or now, what are they asking for now, the one with the baby?
Yeah,
with
I did a
feet?
baby bump, a pregnant lady with a little foot coming out, and it was with the dress, the colors of the whole party. And then one with a baby bum with its little legs coming out from the blanket. So that seems to be right now the popular cake that I'm doing.
You get a lot of requests for military cakes as well?
Yes, I do, quite a bit.
We
A lot
love-
of people returning, big parties. The one that I believe you have a copy of was my friend's son who had just
Yep.
returned home from the military. That picture was a picture of him from Afghanistan.
Yeah, so
And
he was actually posing with that exact pose
In
out in the field in
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. So it was
So
a
I just
surprise.
grabbed it and made him.
Oh, it came out really good.
Thank you.
He looks like that too.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Yeah, his name is Kevin. He's a sweetheart.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Kevin. One of those cameras.
But that cake too, all edible. And that's the one thing where I don't like to use, and a lot of places do use plastic parts.
Right.
I'm not into plastic.
No.
Make it, eat it.
So when you come about, when somebody calls and orders, the clown head for, you still go through the process of designing and,
Oh yeah,
so when you bring it and, if they want something different, you can just, different colors or whatnot.
oh absolutely. There's not a standard. It's basically, it's very unique. It's designed to exactly what you want. As I said earlier, we'll start with a sketch. So you'll give me what your idea is. We'll do a sketch, primarily a draft, fine tune it, colors, however many people you're looking to serve. I make it exactly how you want it
Right.
Some people just say, we don't care.
and just do the cake.
Here's the theme, go for it. And we love that because then we get real creative, we get real crazy. What was the last one we did that was, we did one with the 2 skulls.
Yeah, the most recent Halloween party I did over the weekend. She
Yep.
didn't care what we did. She knew we were going to knock it out of the park, so she says, do it, do your magic, and there's the cake.
Yeah, and we were designing this at the last minute, and even to the point of the spider webs right up here, Jennifer
Jen did
just
that.
grabbed it and said, I want this, and she just made the spider web there. And Michelle was figuring out the roses, everything was done, design, basic design concept, and then we just modified it on the fly. And
The flowers are edible. I make all my flowers,
And again, it's all the modeling
everything.
chocolate?
That is not. That would actually be out of a gum paste,
Okay.
which again is an edible. Kids would eat it more than adults would probably eat it, but it's like a hard candy.
Yeah, gum paste is good because it dries really hard and it can be stable. So that if you need something that's got to hold something up, like if you're doing a vehicle, you want to make the wheels out of gum paste so they dry nice and hard.
And you also noticed you had cupcakes, Jason cupcakes.
I
and-
do cupcakes, but I don't do them very often. I do get special requests for those. The Jason cupcakes was a girl that I think I mentioned lived here in Hudson. And even though she wanted to do a cake, she thought this may be a better option to give a variety for her guests. So she's just a Jason fanatic. So we made all the masks. Those are edible, and so are the swords and the blood.
And the mask is made out of that same,
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so you know what we go through when we get these orders, there are several iterations of Jason's mask. So we actually had to research which Jason's mask do you want, and make that theme consistent. So like if somebody orders a Doctor Who cake or something like that, there are all these things that we have to ask. Which doctor is it? What era? What version was this?
Yeah, we find that a lot in the Marvel or the DC comics.
Batman drives me crazy
yeah,
because
there's so many
there's
different.
Right.
cartoon Batman, new Batman, the Batmobile we did. There are like a dozen different Batmobiles that you have to do. So if somebody says, I want a Batmobile cake, you say, which one? And they go, if they
So
say,
we do
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of research behind it to make sure that we're doing exactly what you want. And as you said, the clients who have repeatedly ordered from me 7, 8 cakes deep, now they just go, this is our theme, do your magic. We already know it's going to be great. So
So you have done a Doctor Who?
we've done a couple.
We've
Yeah.
done TARDIS. A lot of people like the TARDIS cake. And so we do a TARDIS. I think they're usually like about this big. The light flashes. We thought about getting like one of those TARDIS greeting cards with the sound thing so that when you cut into it, it would make the TARDIS sound, but we never went that far. We could. And then we did a K9
Oh, yeah?
cake. Yeah, K9 was
That
really
one was
fun.
cool.
But with each cake, we try to continue to challenge ourselves. Like with the TARDIS cake, I was adamant about getting the top light to light up. And we, through the trial and error thing, we figured it out and we were able to get it lit up. And a while ago, I did a church. And I learned how to work with a product, it's called isomalt. So it's like a sugar, hardens. We did the windows. My daughter helped paint the windows, and we were able to put little lights behind. So the church literally lit up.
Stained glass, it looked like.
So it looked like stained
that
glass.
you could eat.
So, what's the deal with the fondant? Because I've gone to a wedding and they had a fondant cake, and that stuff's just not natural.
Well, I don't make my homemade fondant. That's the one thing I don't make. I order it. Going through the Cake Boss, as I started getting interested in doing this, I saw he was using all the time satin ice, satin ice. So I started playing with this stuff called satin ice. I liked it, but I found a way better product, much more delightful. I think back in the day, they were telling people to put fondant on relatively thick because that was your icing. I do it just the opposite. I'm going to give you a good 3 to 4 coats of buttercream so you get the best of both worlds, and then I do the fondant on it a lot thinner. Not so it's transparent, but definitely edible and it tastes good.
And this new fondant, I mean, you've got Wilton, which is like,
Rubber.
it's very low grade. Then you got satin ice, which is good, and then you got this other stuff that's like so tasty. I mean, you can definitely taste different.
But I think the
And
trick
working
is
with
laying
it's
it
all
on a lot
better.
thinner. Because people who were always intimidated about the fondant work I did come back to me all the time because the fondant is amazing.
So you actually put the fondant over buttercream frosting? Isn't that difficult? I mean, doesn't
Well,
it
it's for the
slide all
look.
over the place?
No, not at all.
She makes it sound easy. It's not easy.
It's
Sometimes
easy
it can
for
be
me.
really
There
challenging.
have been some challenging moments putting fondant on cakes.
I
Well-
think I'd just make a mess.
Yeah,
But she makes it look easy, where we can't, like
Oh,
her and I, we can't do it.
They won't do
You
it.
know, we got this big industrial sheeter, and she'll just go in there and just flip this stuff in, and she's got it around her arms, and she's rolling it, and it's like one of those pizza guys that you see on TV flipping stuff.
Yeah.
She covers stuff like crazy.
She asked
but-
me to come down. She's like, hey, can you go cover this cake? And I'm like, okay. And 9 times out of 10, I go, Mom, I can't do it. And then she just comes down and handles it because I can't.
So you sculpt the shape out of the cakes. Now, do you put anything in between the layers
Well,
to hold
for
the layers from slide? you know?
Absolutely. Yes.
Is that just the buttercream, or
That
is
would be, well, it would be buttercream. It could, whatever
Could be
type of
this
support.
stuff. Could be royal icing, depending upon what it is, buttercream. But if you're doing a layer cake, like she'll do these 3-layer cakes, and we have some stuff in between those layers to hold it from sliding. Then we just take a whole skewer and just shove it right down and hammer it right into all 3 layers to keep it from toppling. And if it's a real big cake, then we use PVC and we use all hardware for the center to keep it from
And
sliding.
debating on how big the cake may be, I deliver all of my cakes, just so I know they get there in all one piece. Any repair work, if there's any necessary, I'm on site in order to do that. And it's like that sliding thing. Some of them, wedding cake that I did, I took it, it was a 4-tier wedding cake, and it went in 4 boxes, and I set it on site. So it really depends on the cake to how it's going to be delivered, driven to the event. I did one down the road here. I can't remember the facility we were at, but it was a wedding. And there was just no way to drive with a 4-tier huge wedding cake. So I went on site and I did it right on site.
But now here's my thing. Like looking at the zombie cake,
Mm-hmm.
you sculpted the cake underneath. You put the buttercream on. Now, like the face and everything, do you just roll it all out and put one big piece on it and then remold it?
Yep, there's a whole bunch of tools that we have, basically sculpting tools. And it's sculpted. We cover it all with the fondant. and then basically use, I guess for the best way to say it is clay tools. And you're just adding in your details and things like that, making sure we got the nose and
This one here, if you look, you can see on the side, excuse me, of the neck, there's like a little scar. You know, that's one place where we put fondant right over there, right over the front, because this is a piece that would be very difficult to do just one sheet and get it right. And then you improvise. You blend those little imperfections in to make it look cool.
And then you airbrush.
no, it's
Just-
we hand paint.
Oh, you hand paint?
Everything's hand
Well, I
painted.
have
Jenny
to,
did
I have to
all
tell you
the-
that.
I
all the
have to
paint for
give
that.
you
That looks very
all
good.
my
Who
daughter.
actually, who did the teeth?
I
My
did the
husband
teeth.
made the teeth.
That's
We
really
had
good.
a dental
Yeah, I love the teeth.
two dental hygienists came up at the fair, and they were staring at it, and I said, "So you like that?" And they said, "Yes." We were just commenting on how exact you got the teeth, the incisors, the molars, they're all in the right placement.
Now, is that fondant or is that?
Yeah, it's gum paste,
Gum
fondant
paste and fondant
mixed
mixed.
together.
There's all different ways that we can use these mediums to make it to what we need it to be.
So, for instance, if you're doing like, and by the way, Michelle is the one who tells us all
I tell them
what we use. We just say,
Yeah.
we don't know what to use. And she'll say, well, if you want to have a surface that you want to blend, take your fondant and add
A little bit of Tylose or maybe modeling chocolate.
So we'll add modeling chocolate to the fondant. It won't dry as quickly. It won't crack. And we can rub out the seams. Or she'll say, you know, use this Tylose powder. And
Which
that'll
helps it
make it
harden.
really harden quite a bit. And then she makes all the modeling chocolate and everything. And you can see that on the skull here, this is actually bare modeling chocolate. It's all vanilla modeling chocolate there. And Jenny she has a palette of these edible colors. They're almost like eyeshadow.
Almost, yeah.
And she'll use, for this one, she used that to do that. And if we steamed it, it would come out shiny, like porcelain. But we decided not to steam it because we wanted it to be dull, like flesh colored. And then this is all paint. So we have edible paints. And that's just a simple matter of painting it, letting it dry.
So everything we do is basically, it's all hand done. It's not molds or, it's hand painting, baked fresh buttercream, fresh fillings, and everybody has a role. Jennifer, talk.
I paint.
Jennifer will sit there. She will sit
She's
there.
amazing.
And we'll sit her down, and she'll have a little turntable, and we'll say, Jennifer, we need scroll work. And you ever see these guys that do the hot rods, the pinstriping by hand, how amazing?
do that.
That's what she does. And she'll just sit there and spend about 2 hours, 3 hours, and pinstripe something. Amazing. Or she'll paint whatever.
Yeah, we did a cake actually for, was it Cratchit Mountain? It was an art palette, and then they had an easel. And this was
Oh, that's-
actually
yes, it
before
was.
we knew about actual like edible paint. So she basically sat me down with
Different palettes of
with
buttercream.
frosting, and it had, she just dyed each color, and I did Starry Night
By
on the
Monet?
cake. Yeah,
Yeah, Don kept it in his office.
Yep.
yep. It was hard.
So I actually made the picture frame, the cake, and then just different colors icing, and she just went to town with the palette.
That was fun.
So, do you have a personal favorite?
I love the zombie cake.
She loves the zombie cake. My personal favorite would probably be the Thor and Loki.
Thor and Loki.
That's
yes.
Loki.
That one was really
I
good.
love the Avengers cake. And we try not to, we get ideas from the internet, but we try not to get ideas from other cakes.
Yeah.
And Thor and Loki, we did it very unique. And we just took a picture right out of like the Avengers of Thor and Loki and fighting on top of this cake. And we were really flattered because another cake artist
Copied
from
our
across
work.
the country copied our work. And that's flattery when
Oh,
you
yeah.
see something like that. And I think if you Google Avengers cake, we come up like number 3 on that. So that was also very flattering.
Every cake has its own special thing that we've done, like Big Bird. That Big Bird we did was made out of Rice Krispie treats with the bottom cake, but each feather that was on Big Bird I made it look like a feather, and each one was glued on to Big Bird with an edible glue. So you could see the detail inside the bird and the beak and the eyes. So I think the biggest thing I could say is between the three of us, it really is definition to detail.
There were two cakes that were very memorable for me. One was Spawn, which was this
so
huge
cool.
Spawn cake, and the other one was Gene Simmons from Kiss. And I think both of those, I was out of work because I was ready to have back surgery. And I was on all kinds of medications, and Michelle would just put
we
stuff in
actually
front
have
of me
that
and
right
say,
there.
do this, do that. And I would sit there all day just doing little things for this cake. That was, yeah, so this is another cake dummy, and this amp would be the cake. We made that out of styrofoam just so that we could transport it to the show. And the rest is all Rice Krispie treats, fondant, modeling chocolate. We retired Gene Simmons.
Yeah,
and-
just a couple years
Yep.
ago. He had just seen his better days, so he had to come up with something new.
But he was
And-
very popular.
Yeah.
He was fun.
But
And-
I do an array of different things, from babies' first birthdays to baby showers, weddings. So I go from the extreme to a very traditional type of cake as well.
So what's the most extreme, unusual cake that somebody's requested?
Oh man.
Yeah, that's such a hard question to answer because all of them are so unique in themselves. Oh my
Wow.
God, what would you say the most unique?
Go on Facebook and vote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
our
that'd
site.
probably be the best thing.
Michelle's Cake Designs on Facebook, and you'll
There
see.
really aren't many duplicates. Like, for instance, one of the most popular cakes we've been doing lately is the Harley Road King. Can somebody please call me? I want to do another bike, but let's make it a different one, you know?
I can
Always
tell.
Road King. Road
By the
King.
way, I can tell a Harley Road King anywhere.
Yeah, now he can.
I can tell you what year it is. What
Yeah.
I could tell because when somebody says I want like this Indian bike, they want us to do
Yeah.
this Indian from like the 1950s.
Yeah, the Indian Warrior.
The Indian Warrior, and they want custom decals on it, and they want this. So now we've got to learn everything there is about Indian Warrior bikes, right down to how the handlebars are, what are the different styles of tanks, about the tires. Some people will give us pictures of their bikes. Other people, we just have to do all our own research.
Right. So a lot of it is us researching what it is you want, doing that draft, having you look at it, set colors and things of that nature. So it's more personal. So I think every cake is just unique in itself.
The most dramatic cake that I thought, and this may not sound dramatic, was a poinsettia in a basket that lit. And the
Oh, yeah.
cake is made, the basket is the cake. It's all woven with fondant.
And I
And
made
then
the
she had all the
poinsettias
pic-
and
yep.
I wired it also at your holiday table. It actually lit up.
So we brought it into this party and put it in. It looked like the centerpiece on the table. And everybody's like, oh, this is cake? You know?
Yeah, and most people don't believe these are cakes. When they just, one, how do you cut it? Oh my God, I don't want to cut it. And I have a lot of moms call up and say, I have a problem. Here I am with this birthday cake, Sonic, Big Bird, or Elmo. They won't let me cut it. And they inevitably they do, nevertheless, but the kid just is, I don't want to eat it. Don't cut my
a work of
cake.
art, really. I mean, it's,
Well, I have to admit, when I was walking through the Pumpkin Fest and I first saw them, I wasn't reading the signs or anything. I just thought it was a horror prop.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a prop.
A lot of
Well, a
people
lot of
said
people
that.
thought it was a mask.
And then I saw, cake design, and I was like, oh.
We actually, some people didn't believe us, and they're like, "It's not a cake. It's not a cake."
They'd start
So we'd be
smelling
like,
it
"Okay,
and-
well, smell it," and they're like, "Oh
I
my
mean, I'm
gosh,
sitting
that's
here and I can
cake."
smell it. I don't know if you
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I have chosen to do the Pumpkin Festival. There are a lot of people that do come down to see what we've made this coming year, as well as it gives a sampling, because not all these cakes are cheap. So with that said, you get to taste what it is we have to offer. It's a small sampling, but nevertheless, pick up a cupcake. Then you know you're getting a good product as well, because I don't believe in freezing any cakes. Everything is made to order. I
Almond Joy Cake.
Oh, there you go.
Chocolate, coconut filling. To die
I do
for.
have to admit that the cupcakes that you had for samples that you were selling, they looked really good. And the only reason why I didn't get one is because my kids were already hopped up on sugar, and I didn't want to.
Yep. No more sugar.
add more fuel to that fire. But they looked amazing,
Thank you.
especially the cut-off finger one. Yeah,
The
they had
cut-off finger one.
it had
Yeah.
a cut-off finger on the top of the cupcake. It looked awesome.
That was our son.
That's my son's finger.
We took his finger. Michelle has a special food grade mold that you just put over the finger, you wait 10 minutes, then you can lift it up, and then you can make everything. And what an effect, boy.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
probably the biggest seller with those fingers.
And I actually found that through just watching the cake sites. A woman, I don't remember her name, but a woman was making a cake for like the Dallas Cowboys or something, and she started using this product. And it's an FDA, food grade approved silicone mold. So I said, oh, what the heck? I actually emailed her, and I asked her what she used. She gave me the information. I never, ever thought I could use it for a body part. Those zombie ears, those are his ears. I literally said, I'm going to try to mold your ear. Not thinking I could do it. It worked. But that was my son's finger. So that opened up another avenue, I guess I could say. I'm really happy about that because I was molding belt buckles or maybe a piece of jewelry or a brooch or something personal. Now I can do body parts. He wouldn't let me do his toe,
Now you're going to get
however.
some strange phone calls.
I won't go that strange.
Well, you had mentioned before that you could possibly put a filling in them,
Oh, absolutely.
so that you could cut it and have the effect.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going to have the same type of cake that you would have gotten from your Shaw's or your Market
Right.
Basket. It's going to be cake with your cake and your filling, and
But yeah, if
but
you
again,
wanted,
you're
If-
cutting instructions.
If you wanted a sloppy zombie, you could.
Yeah,
Yes,
oh,
you
yeah.
could say if you cut here, red, strawberry or cherry juice will come running out, look just like
Yeah.
blood, edible. Absolutely. Pull an eye out, we can make something come out of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just keep trying to take it to the next level.
Yep.
Do you have a picture of Godzilla?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna, with growing up with Creature Feature and seeing Godzilla, that was.
Yeah, that's it. All of these Godzillas, the Avengers, the comic books, they're huge for us, a lot of people.
Because we were all comic book fans. So
Yeah.
when people say, I want Iron Man, we get all excited.
Yep.
It's like, how cool is that? Which one do you want? What style? There's like 20 different Iron Man costumes. Can we pick? That would be the most fun. But we had a great time doing this one. People love the exploding out of the cake effect.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And he has a new movie coming out, so you'll
Yeah.
get more Godzilla
right.
cakes.
Yeah.
We have, this was done with an edible printer. So we have edible, they're fondant sheets, and then we have an inkjet printer that only uses edible ink, and we can do that. And some people ask for their faces, pictures. We did one that was a movie one where we had to do slides, like a movie reel
Yeah,
There was
from
a-
it
of all
was a
family
camera.
pictures, all family pictures, and you had to be able to pick up the whole reel and eat it.
there was
I
a nice
actually-
one they did of it was like an anniversary, and they did picture frames all on the side of the cake, and they had pictures of like the wedding. It was like a 50-year
Through the years,
anniversary.
they met, and through the years, and then I was able to get a copy of their original wedding certificate, or marriage certificate, excuse me. And I was able to copy that, and that was the scroll work on the top of the cake.
Nice.
So we keep trying to challenge ourselves.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
When are you going to order your next cake? Oh, I'm sorry, we ran out of time, didn't we?
Yeah, we have to wrap up now. And hey, believe me,
No, it's creepy. It's staring at you.
It's staring at you.
Yeah.
I kind of almost want to break a tooth off. And no, I'm not.
Go, please. You wouldn't be the first that
But
has
it
done
just it just looks like it's just it looks like candy, and I
It is
just want.
candy.
And
Yeah, I
that's
know.
what a lot of it is. I mean, it's a candy. It's an incorporation of all different techniques.
So somebody wants to look you up. You have a Facebook.
Yep.
Yes,
Go on Michelle's Cake Designs.
Okay.
Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Yep. And we're on
Website
Facebook.
as well, or
Yeah, if you Google Michelle's Cake Designs, you either come up with Michelle or somebody in Australia.
okay.
And so, but we come up usually the first 5 hits on that. So we have a basic website that people go to, but mostly it's Facebook. It's all about Facebook, right?
Yeah, the Facebook has been the biggest form of advertising. I do Google ads and we do have a website, but everybody goes right into Facebook because it has all the portfolio in it. and you're limited on the website.
No, I suggest going on there and check out there's some really neat cakes.
Definitely.
Thank you.
But before we let you go, you're not going to get away easy. I need to hear a horror story. When did you feel either you bit off more than you could chew, or maybe in transport something happened?
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Everything's not
All right,
shiny
here's
and
the
happy.
horror story. I've got it. All right, we have this wonderful Mardi Gras cake, and it's getting delivered to Hudson. And it's a beautiful, gorgeous 3-tier cake with the supports in it. Everything's going perfect. It's gorgeous. Take it out of the car. Husband opens up the box, and he says, uh-oh. Not uh-oh to me, uh-oh to everybody. Now, I'm not going to uh-oh and freak out because it can get fixed. Don't flip out. Well, we fixed it, and it was fine.
The cake fell
But it
over
was
in the
just
box.
the
It was
oh.
smushed.
But I told him, you never say uh-oh, because everything can get fixed. So he was in panic mode. I went into, oh my God mode, and just went in, threw my gloves on, tied my hair back, and just started putting things back the way they were. It wasn't crushed or destroyed, but it was that uh-oh moment that everybody else could hear, and I'm like going, oh my God.
So does the fondant actually work in your favor if something like that was to happen? It
Sometimes.
actually.
Sometimes.
Now, my uh-oh moment is when she did this huge cake for a bar mitzvah that was a ski scene. And about 2 hours before we're supposed to deliver the cake, all of a sudden there was a landslide. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And half the cake just fell right down, and Michelle was ready to hang it up. But we pulled it together.
Yeah,
we
there were
did
a couple
it.
cakes where I just wanted to throw them out the window and
And then
start again.
we're
But-
driving to this bar mitzvah, and I've got to turn around while she's driving. I've got one hand on this frozen lake, which isn't frozen.
Right.
It's hot. What do they call it? It's isogel that is spilling all
Isomalt.
over the
Isomalt.
place. Isomalt. And we made it there. It was a beautiful cake. It worked, but boy, that
But
was.
there's also sometimes where we'll have horror stories like the night before. Like, you know, we have all these pieces dried out waiting and we're trying to carry them up the stairs and then all of a sudden like one will fall off and shatter and then, oh my gosh, what do we do?
Right.
But
all-nighter.
But we
Yep.
pull it together, and, you know, just like anything at your own job, there's always those uh-oh moments, and you go, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. Now what do we do to fix it? And that's why the team, we just pull together and we pull
I
it
can't
off.
tell you, I've gotten calls at 10 o'clock at night going, I need you here now. And I go,
You want to
okay.
go into reality TV and follow us around?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Did you ever, I'm sure you've probably seen some of those cake shows. What you see, I don't
Definitely.
think they're acting, to be honest with you. It happens. So it is what it is. Move past it and make it work. And we're lucky enough that we have been able to make it work.
You seem like you're a very good team, and it obviously works out, looks good, and you know, I really want to thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, nothing but the best of luck.
This is great.
And it's awesome that it's family too.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.